Hello, this is Jordan. This video is being recorded on Monday, May 1st, 2023. Thank you so much for joining me today. In this video, going to look at a weekly outlook for gold and silver and for the miners. And starting off here with gold and silver, this data from stock charts, it's end of day, so this won't update until later. We know that the metals had moved higher in the early morning. They were unable to sustain that, so they came back. And so that move shows that there's more to go in this correction, be it price or time. And so looking at gold, I mean, it's still trading above 1980 right now before the end of the day. But gold has key supports at 1980, 1950, and 1900. We've been talking about 1950 and 1900. And also the moving averages. I'll just remind you, early in new bull markets in gold, the corrections, they don't tend to be that big, at least in the first year or so. But the key support levels, as far as moving averages, tend to be the 50-day, 100-day, or 150-day moving averages. So when the market's really, really hot, usually, and when it's running, usually those pullbacks come to the 50-day. And so the 50-day is already at 1940. So we'll see here if gold closes below 1980. It's almost certain to test 1950. I tend to think I think I said this in the last video. My guess would be that it bottoms at the 100-day moving average, which is at 1902 right now, but it's moving up. You look at that, it's probably going to reach, I would say, 1950 around the end or before the end of this month in the next 4 weeks or so. So we'll see over the coming days if gold's able to hold above 1980 or if it's going to test 1950. Either way, I would guess that 1950, or I would guess that the 100-day, that would be my target for the corrective low. Now looking down at silver, so far silver's holding above 2450, the previous resistance level. And so the peak was, on the very low 26s. So far, I mean, the same for gold, but so far, silver is holding up really well. I mean, it popped higher this morning, I think close to or at 20, even 26 at one point, but then that's sold off. So that move today shows us that the market here in the very short, it doesn't have enough strength to be able to start a new leg higher. Again, it's going to take more time, whether it's, via price or via time. And so looking at silver, 2450 is that first key level of support. And look at the 50-day moving average. I mean, that's at 2314. That's $2 below where silver is right now. So the metals and the miners, they're so far above even the 50-day moving averages that tells you that it's perfectly reasonable to think that they will continue to correct and consolidate here. And it's just a question of, are they going to continue to hold these lows and then develop a very bullish bull flag pattern potentially, or are they going to trade lower? Is gold going to come down to 1950 or a little bit below that, closer to 1900? Is silver going to break below 2050? We'll find out in the coming days, because if you count the days, I think we're 11, 12 days into this correction. And if we see gold and silver, if there's another test to break below those support levels at 1980, 2450, and they rebound again from there, I mean, that could be a signal that we're looking at, potential bullish flag patterns. I don't want to jinx it, but that's just one scenario. Now, wrapping up here with the miners, again, you can see here the red lines, the resistance. Those are the strong resistance levels that miners could test if they're going to make another leg higher. And look at the blue arrows there. I mean, particularly with GDX and GDXJ. Again, they're holding way above their 50-day moving averages. Even today, GDX trading at 33.60, the 50 days at 31.18. So that's, $2.50. What is that? I mean, that's 6-7% above that level. And there's good lateral support there, around 31 or so, or maybe 31.25, 31.50. So and GDX to this point has only corrected, I think 8 or 9%. So, testing the 50-day moving average is not exact. It's not exactly a big correction, even in a short-term sense. Looking down at GDXJ, there is the same confluence of strong support. I'm looking at 37.50, maybe a little bit higher than that. GDXJ is trading at 39.77 as I saved this chart. Earlier today, you can see it was above, came close to 41. And so look at those candles. You can see today's candle. I mean, the black there, that's a bearish candle because we see the market opened and then it traded much higher, was unable to sustain that strength. So that tells you, again, more correction is needed. Looking down at the bottom with SILJ, really good confluence of support there at 10 or a little bit above that. SILJ's at 1087 now. So what is that? 7 or 8% more to the downside. Not a whole lot of downside, really. And GDXJ, I think it's corrected. I want to say around 11% or so at the most so far. And so, coming down to, even if we say 38 from 44 down to 38, I mean, what is that? Or even if it comes down to the 37s, I mean, that's 14 or 15%. Not exactly a real significant correction for the juniors. So that's where we are. I would say for precious metals, we're still in a correction here, but the medium term, I think for the medium term, the bias still has to be to the upside. That's where we are. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll talk to you guys again in the next video. Thank you.